Evening, everyone. Mayor, would you like to proceed?
Yes, please.
This is a meeting of the Borough Council on July 14, 2021. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given by transmission to the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times, and by posting at the Borough of Highlands Municipal Building and filing with the Borough Clerk all on January 1st, 2021. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will now call roll. Councilmember Martin?
Here.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Here.
Councilmember Melnick?
Here.
Council President Olszewski? Here. Mayor Brion?
Here.
On tonight's agenda, we have Certificate of Appreciation Proclamation. First is Proclamation Tom Elliott Day, read by Mayor Brion.
Whereas Thomas Elliott has served as an educator in the field of music since 1971, which 33 of those years were spent at Henry Hudson Regional School. Whereas the foundation and longtime success of the Henry Hudson Music Department has been led by an extraordinary leader in Mr. Elliott, whose service has spanned over 5 decades. And whereas Mr. Elliott, even in his retirement, continues to be a fixture in our community and has left many in our community in a better place as they move forward in life after experiencing his teaching of music. And whereas Mr. Elliott has devoted many long hours, days, and years of service to our community and to the community of Atlantic Highlands, and we are honored and proud of his accomplishments. Now, therefore, I, Carolyn Brion, Mayor of the Borough of Highlands, do hereby proclaim June 28, 2021, G. Thomas Elliott Day in the Borough of Highlands, as we wish him a happy birthday, and all the citizens are encouraged to join the governing body in this special day. June 28th was his birthday, which is why both the Mayor of Atlantic Highlands and myself made mirroring proclamations, because he's served both the community of Highlands and Atlantic Highlands for so long. And we want to wish him well. Absolutely.
The next is a letter of gratitude read by Mayor Brion.
This letter came to me from Muriel Smith, and it is addressed to Mayor and Council as well as Police Chief Robert Burton. Dear Mayor Brion and Council, I would like to publicly praise and commend Highlands Police Department Captain George Roxby and Sergeant Ian Dobbins for their rapid response and immediately rendering of aid and comfort not only to a distressed resident, but to all of the participants at the 8 a.m. Mass at OLPH Church on Tuesday, June 29th. The officers responded to the emergency call within 4 minutes and not only came into Mass quietly and efficiently, but without rendering any disturbance to any churchgoers. They accomplished this at the same time sizing up and immediately taking initial steps to aid the woman in need of immediate medical assistance in the pew. Their staying with the woman and remaining calm and quiet and rendering their aid enabled Father Jarlath to return to saying Mass and enabled the churchgoers to continue in prayer without any disturbance. It's one thing to render aid, which our police officers do on a regular basis. To offer it during a celebration of a Mass without causing any disturbance shows not only their quick thinking, their immediate understanding of what was going on, but also their reverence in handling the situation, all of which is deeply appreciated by the parish. Please publicly commend these officers for their actions and express the thanks for all of those who are present and observed their professionalism. Sincerely, Muriel J. Smith. And one side note that is not in this letter is, as it would happen on July 8th, just this week, again, at the 8 a.m. Mass, it happened again. A resident was in distress. First on the scene was Patrolman Ryan Schulner, and then our own Highlands First Aid Squad, where they gave aid, and the Meridian Health showed up as well. So I just wanted to publicly thank not only our patrolmen, but our First Aid Squad for doing such an outstanding job.
Next item on agenda is approval of minutes, June 16, 2021, executive meeting minutes, June 16, 2021, regular session minutes.
I will offer them.
I'll second. Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. Next, we have two resolutions which pertain to ordinances. First is R21-147, a resolution acknowledging receipt and review of the Land Use Board Consistency Report for Ordinance O2121.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. Next is R21-148, resolution acknowledging receipt and review of the Land Use Board Consistency Report for Ordinance O21-23.
I'll offer that as well.
Second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. We have 5 ordinances for public hearing and final adoption. The first, O2121, an ordinance amending the land use provisions of the Borough Code to address prohibited and conditional uses for cannabis establishments.
Before we open up to the public, I would like Mr. Ball to speak to the ordinance, please.
I'd be happy to. And just to give, can everyone hear me okay? Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. So everyone's on the same page. I'm sure everyone knows by now. Back in February, it was February 22nd of this year, New Jersey legalized recreational cannabis. Those statutory provisions provided 180 days for municipalities to adopt new zoning ordinances to address these new proposed uses throughout their towns. The effect, if there's no municipal adoption of a zoning ordinance after that 180-day period, is that the various uses will be deemed permitted. Cultivators, manufacturers, wholesalers, distributors, and delivery services would all be automatically permitted in all industrial zones, and retailers would be a conditional use in all commercial zones. A municipality that's bound by those provisions cannot make their zoning ordinances more restrictive after that time, but they can allow additional uses once the new zoning ordinances are in place. And just so everyone is on the same page, the act of delivery as part of a delivery service is deemed by the state to be permitted in all municipalities, but the zoning use of a delivery service is something that can be regulated by zoning ordinance. And the smoking, vaping, or aerosolizing of any cannabis is not permitted in public places under the new law. Anything further you'd like me to address?
I think that's all. Does anyone else have any?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ball.
Certainly.
And I'll open it to the public. It's right there.
Michelle Beagle, 221 St. Avenue, Highlands, New Jersey.
So my question is, I know we're changing, or looking at different zones, but what zone are we actually going to put the cannabis shop in? When we say commercial zone, is that anywhere downtown on Bay Avenue?
Anywhere in the commercial business districts and also in the highway-oriented district.
Okay, so are we looking at a specific spot for this?
No, those are just the two areas in which we're allowing an operator to operate.
And so when you say business zone, can you please define, I mean, because Bay Avenue basically, is that all considered business, or are we just talking about?
Bay Avenue is considered the central business district, and that runs from, the length of Bay Avenue from Veterans Park to the end of Gravelly Point Road,
Veterans Park?
South Street, Veterans Park. That cross right there, that's where that zone has been defined as.
But also not within 1,000 feet of a school.
Correct.
So from Veterans Park to
Gravelly Point,
on Gravelly Point, or right where that ends?
right where it ends, that ends.
Okay, so it would be on the south, if you want to call that the south side, sort of this way down by Woodward Avenue and in that block?
It has to be 1,000 feet away from the school, so I don't believe that
So that's not-
would be there, but that spot would be
But
there.
it's not to go past anywhere like, I don't know, if you want to say Fifth Street and down that way, you know, the corner of Fifth and Bay, it wouldn't go past there, near the other stores, like, near your store, say perhaps, would it?
Miller, yes.
So it's gonna go all the way down to.
The area in which a shop could open is from South Street, which is the corner of Veterans Park,
Okay.
to Gravelly Point.
Okay. All right, so, you know, so that means it can go to the park where the kids play, can go all the way to Veterans Park where the kids play basketball,
Yes,
and anywhere in between there, back down to Bradley.
correct.
Have you really considered the impact on our teenage children and school-age children? Has anybody considered that,
Thoroughly,
being right in that area?
yes. Multiple sessions to hammer out what this deal is, so yes, thoroughly.
Well, I know there's a lot of things are initiated by the council sometimes to do for the children. You know, they do different type of events, and they're gonna try to get the skateboard park, and, you know, we have the community center for our younger children, which is nice. But honestly, in my opinion, and I think there might be some other opinions the same, by choosing this, you're negating anything that you can do, that you say you're doing for the children. You're negating it. And I think if you talk to a lot of parents, you're gonna find that out. And I feel like you're voting for your own agenda and not the agenda of the children of Barnes Town. That's what I have to say.
Thank you.
Michelle, I would like to add and to let everyone know that I have spoken to several families who live in the commercial business district, and they are not happy and do not support this. So I understand what you're saying.
Because our housing district is entwined,
That's right.
totally entwined, it's gonna be in somebody's backyard. You know?
Someone next to someone's home.
Next to someone's-
And like I said, I have spoke to individual families who have young children, and they are not happy. I had one father tell me that he is ready to sell his home.
A lot of people are. These are poor decisions that you're not making, you're not listening to. Thank you.
I would say that the liquor stores are also in that same, but that's what I am saying.
Okay, but that's wrong. It's been a long time thing here.
Yes,
You think that everybody likes it now? But that's something that was done many years ago. We can't undo that now. But we can try to stop this with the help of you, council.
Claudette, go ahead.
Claudette Dorigo, Charles Teacher. Andy, can you explain what happens if an ordinance doesn't go into effect right now? can you explain what the 5-year limit is and what would happen if this council just let it go right now?
That's what I was mentioning in the introduction. Those uses would be deemed automatically permitted. Cultivators, manufacturers, wholesalers, distributors, and delivery would all be deemed permitted within all industrial zones in the town. Retailers would be deemed a conditional use in all commercial zones in the town.
Okay, so even though 36, no one on 36 have Highland zones, I believe, is going to be far enough from the school, is that correct?
Couldn't tell
I
you.
mean, and if we don't, 70% of the councils in the state of New Jersey are not allowing it in their towns right now. There's a reason why they're doing that, so perhaps someone could explain.
I actually can explain, if no one else on the council wants to discuss it. Okay. So I've done some research, and I've spoke to several attorneys that I know that are working on this matter right now for their firms. Because the state, it's unfortunate, but the state has given us this deadline of August 21st, which Andy explained. We have to move to either prohibit it, which is absolutely an option, by August 21st, or we can make a move to allow it and put conditions on it, for lack of better terms. The problem I have, and one of the biggest problems I have, is the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission also has a deadline of August 21st to come down with all their rulings and their regulations, which really will govern how this whole business, how all these businesses are going to be able to function in the state of New Jersey. The fact that we're saying yes right now, before we have New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission's rules and regulations, I feel is an issue, because we don't know what we don't know right now. However, if we were to vote no now and stop this at this point, we can opt in at any point over the next 5 years. So once you say yes, you're on the hook to that yes for 5 years. You can't move later, a year from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, and say no. Once you say yes, you're in for 5 years. But if you say no, you can always reverse it.
So you can't get out of it once you say yes.
Correct.
You can opt in at any point.
That's
Once the regulations are in place and once.
That's
the
correct.
district and where it can be. That's kind of what I was asking you, Andy, what that 5-year and what the commission, I don't know if that's called, but was guiding. So that's why 70% of the councils are not voting this in, because there are no rules and regulations. So we're voting ahead of the rules and regulations, which seems like a very foolish thing to do when we don't know what they're going to tell us what to do.
Well,
I
I agree with you. I blame the state for that, obviously. Why would they give us the same deadline that they're giving the Cannabis Commission? However, I feel that the loophole and the safe way, the way to get around that is to just vote no. Vote no now, wait until you get all of your guidelines at the end of August, and at any point you can opt back in. And if you've done any reading and you've done some of your research, that is why a huge majority of the 565 municipalities in the state of New Jersey are voting no, not because they're purely against introducing cannabis into their municipalities and townships for sale, but because they don't know what the Cannabis Regulatory Commission is going to say.
So the intelligent thing to do would be to table it until such time that we know what the rules and regulations are, correct?
I would,
Ms. Scorpio, formerly Shore Drive. I want to clarify the business district. I understand the entirety of the avenue. I understand the highway. What about One Willow? What about the C Street parking lot? If they decide they want to build a dispensary on their lot.
Shrewsbury Avenue.
Yeah, what about Shrewsbury Avenue? We've got-
It's not in the business, not in the central business district. The ordinance clearly stated two districts, the central business district and the high,
Carolyn, not letting it be right down the street from you.
my neighborhood is right, my shop is right there.
Shrewsbury, there's gonna be storefronts across the street from your house, a building, a home, a two-family home that was in a business district was being assessed where we did have a business improvement district. That just sold, you're not going to allow, I don't know, maybe one of the marinas wants to be the dispensary instead, maybe they want to pivot. And so you're not going to allow it where there's already existing businesses, you're going to push it, and possibly between two residences, fighting up backyards behind more residences. I think it's very short-sighted to say, no, just because you have a commercial building doesn't mean you can't have cannabis.
Just a question back to Mr. Ball. You know, as we mentioned, we can adopt this and then expand it over time, correct?
Yes, you can make
You
it
can
more
expand, but you
permissive as
can't
time.
cover-
No, I'm just trying to address Ms. Skorka's concern
Yeah,
of
expansion.
limiting, and I'm saying we have the option to expand over time.
And here the council goes once again, pushing an ordinance through, which was attorney time and money, advertising money, all of your time, as you guys have discussed this and hammered it out over the months. You're gonna push it through, you're gonna vote on it, and oh darn, it needs to be changed, which means more attorney time, more legal fees, more advertising, and more of your time to hammer it out. I think the smart thing to do would be to vote no tonight and wait and see. It's only a couple weeks. That's all. And maybe you want to include all of the commercial buildings that are in town currently. Thank you.
Tina Keller, 164 Linden Avenue. I just want to speak from a different perspective, since such a small town here, and my concern, it's not necessarily for me where the business district begins and where it ends. Because to me, it's such a very tiny town. And I'm just thinking about what we represent when people want to come down to the Jersey Shore. And what our value and our strategy is. Are we going to be the shore town out of, because I too read that article about the 70 townships that have, I mean, there's a lot of news out there. And I just don't know if this is the right message that is going to be the kind of beach town that we really want to be. And also because we are, intermingled with the business and the residential, it's just a very sticky thing, I'm just very concerned that it's really going to change the image of what Highlands has been or what we're trying to aspire to be. And I didn't understand, I thought this was on the table here. It sounds like everybody's going to be voting in the positive with this, but I really, really beg you to consider what this town means to many, many folks here that really have, that are trying to generate businesses other than, if there are other ways to generate business that this may have a negative impact in much long-term value than we may realize, if we're looking to build a foundation on what we are and what we want to present to other folks coming in from out of state, from intrastate, we're a great little place here. I would just feel so bad that, we're going to become known as like, Deadhead City or something, Deadhead Shore Town. So it's a really important decision that you guys are going to make for us tonight on our behalf. And I would really hope that maybe with that same deadline that Councilwoman Zola had touched upon is something to really deeply consider. So, thank you.
Political circle, Belford, New Jersey. I think the most striking thing as I've watched this unfold over the past couple of months is that the folks that are actually voting on it, only one person is actually going to be affected by it, and that's Councilwoman Mazzola, because she was directly on the avenue. And the other 4 members of the council and there are nowhere near that. So the chances of our shop opening up next to say your home, or another shop of your home, are pretty nil and void. And again, because you're so big-headed, you're going to go ahead and vote on this, regardless of what these citizens have to say. And under the advice of Councilwoman Mazzola, you could vote on it next week, you could opt in 30 seconds, which you don't do, because you're really taking an agenda here. We don't know quite what it is, but the people aren't stupid. Thank you.
Seeing no one else, I'm going to close public portion. Does anyone from the table have anything they'd like to add before we vote?
I do.
Please go ahead.
I actually prepared this in advance, and I did say some of it earlier, but I'm actually going to read it through. As Andy mentioned, the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission is not required to publish its rules and regulations for the legalization of the weed industry in New Jersey until August 21st. This is the same date that all municipalities are required to pass ordinances opting out of the industry and either banning marijuana sales and businesses or altering their zoning laws to regulate where their businesses could be located. An overwhelming number of municipalities have simply opted out because they are waiting for the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission's rules and regulations. They do not have all the information that they feel they need to make this decision, which will ultimately affect the residents of their towns. It is 70%, by the way. I think it was Mr. Rigo who mentioned that 70% of the 565 municipalities in this state have already said no. Why do we think we know better than they do? Please note that any municipality that opts out can opt in at any time. However, once you opt in, a municipality is precluded from opting out or making any changes limiting the operations. You can expand the operations, as Councilmember Melnick had brought up earlier, but you cannot limit. Once you're in, you're in. The League of Municipalities, which offers information and guidance to municipal officials, has recommended that the towns opt out until the Cannabis Regulatory Commission issues its formal rules and regulations. I actually contacted somebody there this week, and she repeated this to me. That is their recommendation to the municipalities. Opt out until after we have our rules on August 21st. So why did this council rush to opt in when complete rules, regulations, and guidelines are not even available? I'm very disappointed that this decision was made. First meeting, by the way, I believe it was, January 1st, 2021. This was, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe, perhaps it was the second meeting. Very disappointed that this decision was made before having all of these facts. Why? Secondly, Highlands does not have a traditional business district. Ours is a residential business district, and as such, we need to be mindful of the residents who live here, raise their families here, and pay taxes here. I'm uncomfortable approving this type of business in the midst of our residents' homes, especially since we are not yet privy to the Cannabis Regulatory Commission's findings. Why do this now? It doesn't make any sense when you can opt in at any point. Thank you.
Do I have an offer on the table?
I'll offer it.
Second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
No.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
This ordinance is passed on second and final reading.
Okay, if you can all just gather. If you can't behave in a civil manner, you'll be asked to leave. Okay?
The next ordinance is O-2122, an ordinance creating Section 4-18 of the Borough Code regarding cannabis realtor licensing requirements.
I'll offer it.
Wait, this is public hearing.
Oh.
Is there anything that you would like to add for this ordinance?
This is just to address the licensing provisions, which is separate from the zoning provisions.
Okay.
Thus requires a separate ordinance.
Okay. And I'll open this to public portion. Seeing nobody, I will close public portion. I'll offer this.
Second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
No.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky? Yes. Mayor Brion?
Yes.
This ordinance is passed on second and final reading. Next, we have O-2123, an ordinance amending Article 17, Business and Waterfront Zone District, Section 21-91, Central Business District, and Section 21-92.01, Highway-Oriented Businesses.
I'll open this to the public. And I will close it, seeing no one come up. I will offer this one as well.
I'll second it. Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
No.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
This ordinance has passed on second and final reading. The next ordinance we have is O-2124, an ordinance repealing Section 7-3.8 of the Borough Code regarding residents-only permit parking on certain streets.
Before I open this to the public, I wanted everyone to know that I believe every single member of council, including myself, has met with Chief Burton. Chief and I met with the neighbors of these streets a couple of weeks ago, but we had already tabled it and we had to put this on for this meeting. But I believe that we will all be voting no for this ordinance to repeal the resident-only parking. So before we open it up to the public, I just want to let everyone know that. So with that, I will open it to the public. Go ahead. Yeah. Just name and address for the record, so we have it.
I'm sorry, what was your first ID? Thank you. Thank you.
Just to reiterate, you're for the permit parking for the residents, near the businesses, for the...
Locus, yeah, that whole,
Okay, that's all.
okay, thank you.
Make sure I understood it, yeah, good.
And seeing no one else, I will close it. And I will offer this to be voted on.
I'll second. Councilmember Martin?
No.
No? Councilmember Mazzola?
No.
Councilmember Melnick?
No.
Council President Oshesky? No. Mayor Brion?
No.
This ordinance has not passed on second and final reading. Last ordinance for tonight is O-2126, an ordinance amending Chapter 7, Schedule 1, no parking of the Code of the Borough of Highlands related to areas of no parking in various locations throughout the borough.
And I will also state that I know many of the members of council have spoken with Chief about these areas. And with that, I'll open up for a public portion. Seeing no one, I will close public portion. Would anyone like to make a motion to offer this?
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Thank you. Councilmember Mazzola for the second. Councilmember Martin?
No.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Right, you mean,
No, I'm sorry, I'm saying no to the sorry.
it wasn't,
Yes, sorry, I just
That's okay.
forget it. That's just not the word.
yeah.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Monick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
This ordinance is passed on second and final reading. Next item on agenda is resolutions. First is R21-149, a resolution authorizing payment of bills.
I'll offer it.
Second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. R21-150, a resolution approving request for waiver of alcohol ban for community center rental.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. Next, we have R21-151, a resolution for approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the 2022 various road improvements project.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. R21-152, a resolution authorizing the refund of summer camp fees.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. R21-153, a resolution authorizing the refund of a mercantile license application fee.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. R21-154, resolution authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract for professional services for improvements to King Street and Matthew Street.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. R21-155, a resolution authorizing acceptance of a SFY21 body-worn camera grant from the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety, Office of the Attorney General, award number 21-BWC-193.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. R21-156, a resolution requesting approval of insertion of $165,000, the 2021 budget revenue available from the New Jersey Transportation Municipal Aid Program grant.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. R21-157, a resolution requesting approval of insertion of $246,703.78 for the 2021 budget revenue available from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
I'll offer it.
Second.
Is that Councilmember Melnick? Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshewski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. R21-158, a resolution applying for a LEAP implementation grant in the amount of $250,000 to support implementation of the shared service.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshewski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. R21-159, a resolution extending the third quarter property tax payment grace period.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshewski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. R21-160, a resolution authorizing the award of a non-fair and open contract for professional services for electrical upgrades to the North Street Pump Station.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshewski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. Last resolution we have is R21-161, a resolution appointing Michelle Hutchinson, RMC, to serve in the position of municipal clerk.
I will gladly offer that.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Martin?
Oh, yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshewski?
Yes.
Mayor Brion?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. Thank you. There are no items under other business. Next
Actually,
item
Michelle, I
on the
have two
agenda.
little things that I just wanted to discuss, just so that the council members can think it over and maybe talk amongst ourselves about it until the next meeting. And two items that have come up a lot, and that is, I went through and looked at all of the towns on the Bay Shore, Middletown, went all the way down to Monmouth Beach, Freehold Borough, and a lot of people, council meetings start a lot earlier, because I feel that sometimes we're here very late in the evening. And just to consider that the most often way of doing the meetings was that timing would start at 7, and then we would do executive after the meeting. So just something that I think everyone should ponder for a while, talk to some of the other council members, and see if that's might be something that we're not keeping folks here so late into the evening. The other thing that I was, something that we discussed a couple of months ago, and that was looking again at the no dogs on the park and beaches, and if that is something that we want to look at or not look at, or possibly raise the fines of people that don't clean up after their dogs, that are not responsible pet owners. But it's just something that I think that we should just think about, and we can come back and talk about it later. But just wanted to put it out there that these are some things that folks have approached me with that I think it's something we should talk about. And as the administrator is not here this evening, I do have his report, which I will read. Okay, on his calendar since last meeting, on June 22nd, he met with Middletown Township regarding Portland Road. He had conference calls regarding the cannabis legislation. On June 24th, he met with Valley Bank regarding the ownership of the land next to their bank. That land is owned by the bank. It has never been borough property, just so that everyone knows that. June 28th, he met with the insurance carrier regarding coverages for both buildings and personnel. On June 29th, there was a personnel hearing. June 30th, both the administrator and I attended a neighborhood preservation program webinar. July 1, he met with Atlantic Highlands and Seabright's borough administrators to discuss possible regionalization of schools. On July 2nd, a Shadowlawn redevelopment meeting with the planner. July 6th, meeting with Cooperative Communications regarding the borough's phone services. July 7th, he had a meeting with the Affordable Housing Regulations Committee, also a meeting with the engineer regarding Snug Harbor, and a conference call with Monmouth County OEM regarding Tropical Storm Elsa. Status updates, just as we have voted on this evening, we received $246,000 from the American Rescue Plan Act, and that's something that we need to discuss in the future about what we should use that money for. The new Borough Hall work is progressing and should go out to bid soon. He met with the risk manager to update all of our insurance policies. Redevelopment agreements are in process and are moving forward. Parks meeting was held regarding upgrades on all of our park facilities. Safe Roads to School grants, we're submitting the required paperwork. The recycling tonnage grant information was submitted. Review of Land Use Board cannabis review. We submitted the DOT grant for road improvements for South Bay. The cement basin Jones Creek was cleaned out by Monmouth County, and then of course we had our rainstorm and now it's all full again. We received a surplus Dodge Charger from Monmouth County, and that is going to be given to the First Aid Squad as an additional vehicle for them. Right now, the police department is taking care of getting plates and registration and all that stuff going. Then once we'll get it on the insurance, and then First Aid Squad will be able to take possession of that vehicle. And then the acceptance of the body-worn cameras. And that resolution also was tonight, and that's $38,000. For ongoing projects, we have the municipal complex town hall meeting was March 2nd, bond approved June. Meeting with FEMA on additional funding, and an RFP is going out this week for a construction manager. The Water Witch Storm and Sanitary initial survey work is completed, and plans are progressing through the county and I-Bank. King and Matthew Street, we just voted on that today, so now that engineering award will happen, so the engineers can start working on that. The Cedar and Jones bulkheads, those are both substantially completed and only some punch list items remain. Improvements to Locust Street, that is also substantially completed, and the paving is to be done in the spring. North Street Pump Station, again, we awarded that tonight. And for Snug Harbor Park, we got an extension on that open space, and we have a proposed final design, so that's moving forward. And playground equipment has been ordered for all parks. And then again with the Jones Street dredging, yes, that just got cleaned out, now that's going to have to get cleaned out again. And then the proposed projects were what we just, again, did earlier today, was the Safe Routes to School. And we met with the planner and DOT on that. Ederly Park improvements. We have a proposal from CME to do some work there. We're looking to make sure that we get this park in a lot better shape before the 100-year anniversary of Gertrude swimming the English Channel. And Marine Place bulkhead restoration, and we're progressing with that. The engineers are working on it. And that is the administrator's report. And that means it's...
Well, Mayor, you just gave my report pretty much, I have to say. No, I'll just add to that with regard to the Phase 1 sanitary sewer project that's being funded by I-Bank, we had a video teleconference with DEP to address public comment. We responded to questions that they had. At this point, we're waiting authorization to go out to bid. Once that happens, we'll advertise the project and get moving. And the other items that were on the agenda, you already commented on the grant from DOT and the authorization to proceed with the King and Matthew Street. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything like to add before I open this to the public? No? You guys good? Okay, I will open this for public comment.
Can I just make my statement?
Oh, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
That's okay, thank you. Individuals wishing to address the council shall be recognized by the presiding officer and shall give their name, address, and the group, if any, they represent. Although the council encourages public participation, it reserves the right through its presiding officer to terminate remarks to and/or by any individual not in keeping with the conduct of a proper and efficient meeting. If any individual refuses to conduct themselves in a proper manner, they will be removed from the meeting. The council will not, during the public portion of this meeting, discuss matters involving employment, appointment, termination of employment, negotiations, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of the performance of, promotion, or discipline of any specific or prospective or current employee. There is a 3-minute time limit for your comments. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for the activity for that we studied that time. And I just came to follow up to the last meeting I had spoken. There was going to be some tracking going on. And I just want to find out what the result was of that. Because there's still some birds around, so
There's still some there, because I know that some were caught. It's a hard thing to manage because we do live next to a forest, so they do make their way down here. But I'm going to make a note to myself to speak with the administrator about that tomorrow morning to see how much longer we can do this on a more ongoing basis. Okay.
And your comment earlier about the beaches and dogs and things, is there some way we can do a campaign in the town that's going to be noticed? Because as a homeowner, and we all work with rebuilding, and there are many dog owners in our neighborhood, in town, who are very disrespectful to us, who are not dog owners. And are very often, I have enough time hall, but I do work really hard to try to do this as possible. And I don't appreciate people, having their dogs very exactly on the property. And, going on my property, into my carport, and dropping their trash for their dog in my trash cans, which is, private property.
Sure.
So, I ask people very politely, please not do it. I don't want to be one of those people that signs up in front of my house, but I get pushback, like, what's wrong with you? It's just water. So it's just disrespect. So I was wondering, I have to work with someone in council who's under a campaign about this, like, consideration, community, something. Because everything else is dog, and people who don't, like me, are considered like, people are considered dog haters. I like animals, I just choose to have my freedom. And so, I just...
Don, could you work on some messaging with Rosemary?
Yes.
Don heads up communication, so he'd be your go-to guy.
Yep, perfect.
Got it.
Well, we heard like Minnesota did not want to vote for the CDB ordinance. But I'd like to hear from the other 4 council members that voted yes, so the public can understand what your rationale was for voting yes. And we only have 3 minutes, but just an explanation on why you chose to vote yes, despite the fact that there is no regulations in place for you to follow or guide you. Can you do that for us?
I'm not afraid of a cannabis shop, and I'm not afraid of the regulations that were, excuse me?
You don't have the floor, sir. You don't have the floor. If you cannot behave in a manner of beginning this meeting, you will be asked to leave. Shouting over people is not the way to behave. Okay.
So quite simply, I'm not concerned with cannabis being introduced any more than I'm afraid of a new CVS opening in town, so.
But it's not about this CDB, it's the fact that we don't know what we have to do yet. To guide you or the council.
But we are being very prescriptive as to what can be done in this establishment. There's no consumption. It's tightly regulated. And so anything else on top of that would be additional ordinances coming or regulation coming from the state.
And if the cannabis commission says can buy, or do
That's exactly why we spelled it out in our ordinance, that you cannot. That you cannot.
I can't add much to that, I agree.
We specifically made that there would be absolutely no consumption on premise. It's already New Jersey state law that you cannot smoke in public areas. And we made it only one retail establishment. We didn't think that, I didn't want to put the burden on the police department to have an establishment where you're doing a distribution type of situation. And we're frankly too small to have any real great growers situation going on because we don't really have a lot of land mass. So that would really be someplace out in the west or in the south would have that type of jurisdiction. I think we worked a great deal with the legal team. I don't think anybody knows that 200-page legislation that the state put down better than Andrew Ball, and he directed us accordingly. And I stand behind my vote.
Realistically, I'm not going to wait for the state to come in and decide what we can do and decide for ourselves. I mean, that's just how it is. We have the ability.
That's the law, not the way to this.
Realistically, for us, I'd rather be ready to make our own rules, we make our own decisions, what we're going to do, and instead of sitting there and not kicking down the road simply because you want to be able to turn around and say, I'd rather set on front of it and be ready.
Okay, so I basically have not heard anyone say that they are willing to wait for the state to at least put out their guidelines so they had something to base off of, or you felt that your knowledge was better to focus in instead of waiting 3 weeks to see what the state wanted. That's basically what I'm saying. And that you feel that as a council, you have the best interest of the town at heart, even though there are no guidelines for you to follow yet. Is that what I'm saying?
I think that's your characterization.
Well, okay.
I don't quite know what you're asking as opposed to leading.
Well,
Because you asked and you got answers, but now you're going to rephrase for all of us collectively?
I'm trying to understand why you couldn't wait until the regulations were in place, because according to what Linda and Andy said, you can opt in at any time, but you chose to jump the gun and opt in prior to what we really know we can do.
There was no gun to jump. We were permitted to make this. We have a deadline to meet. We didn't jump the gun. We did it before the deadline. And I agree. We can make adjustments over time, like I had pointed out when Ms. Squirk was up. And I have been since day one a supporter. So no, I don't want to get out.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Scorpio, formerly of Short Drive. In 2015, a number of groups came together to raise money for Just Reach for Veterans. They wanted to plan a weekend-long mindful fitness festival in our town. This could have been an amazing weekend and a refreshing change from the bar crawls and alcohol-focused events that usually take place. But Kylie dropped the ball and helped us organize it. She was on the verge of disaster. Since then, many people have asked the council, various councils and administrations, to work together on an ordinance to help guide fees, the insurance requirements, and other aspects of facilitating such an event. Even the Monday events like 5K run by the American Cancer Society, Susan B. Komen, that sort of thing. We asked for guidelines to be drawn up, who in the administration, police, fire, and EMS would be the liaison helping plan such future events for this town. Sorry, taking place in the town. Unfortunately, you refuse to work on this. Your claim that I just want to throw in charge of the HPP is ridiculous and false. I would expect the ordinance to include a clause that the council can waive any fees at any time. So I'm not targeting anyone as you play in that area. The voters should be having an organized and professional response when someone inquires about holding an event on town property. It appears that instead of planning ahead, You don't want the transparency of the public knowing how much of their tax dollars are spent supporting private entity. And the taxpayers need to know that this utilization of borough assets and employees goes far beyond events held in this town, both on private and borough property. And before you think I'm talking about the vacant lot next to the bank, that's not what I'm talking about. But I really came tonight to thank you, Mayor. I want to thank you for showing me that Highlands will never be the shining jewel of the Bayshore, that this town will never get out of its own way, that it will always be behind its neighbors and see right and the Highlands, except maybe on campus. I want to thank you for showing me that your friends were right. Future's better outside Highlands. I'm in my new home 14 days. We get home picked up every Friday. My recycling is every other Wednesday, not first and third. I got the very professionally written newsletter that comes out quarterly. It really is better on the other side. I'm proud to join your friends Maureen and Marty, John Melissa, Stacy Now, Tom and Veronica, and Bob and Kelly. And those who may not be acquainted with, Ron and Jill, Phil, Steve, Jeff and Allie, and many others that could have walked here in town and remained in town, but chose to go elsewhere. I want you to remember that everyone that comes into your shop and says, I just moved to Highlands, that they have most likely replaced with parking benefit, some long-term residents. There is less and less new construction as lots are built. New residents don't always think of good things, and you should be asking why your friends and neighbors aren't remaining in your town. Why the peacefulness of Hartshorn, the beauty of the Hudson Trail, the convenience of C Street, the wonderful restaurants, they're not enough to keep people in town. When you meet those new residents, they will be wise to not get involved. Ignorance is the root of this. The biggest mistake I ever made was saying yes to the Muslims to join Highlands Unit. It's gotta remain this town.
Thank you.
I'm 10 Central. I just had a couple of questions about the status of the Snow Harbor sewer project. One, I guess, is being reviewed to make sure it's still compliant with the IBAC requirements, with the changes in the design. Just want to make sure we're not doing anything that will violate the IBAC, and we want to follow with after our approval. Second is the repaving on county roads. County reimbursing us for that, and particularly for Linden and Waterridge. Is the drainage being redesigned with additional patch basins to avoid constant flooding of the street. The street has no pitch to it, proper pitch, and drains to the patch basins. And lastly, when construction is current, particularly in areas like Central and Beach, how long would we lose access to our house? Will one-way streets be reversed? How is that going to work? Consistent access to the
I'm going to give that to Mr. Valesi.
Sure. Well, in terms of access, there may be some periods where, access will be difficult, but basically, residents will have access to their driveways, you'll be able to get in and out. During certain times, in the middle of some heavy construction, if the contractor, I have to look at his staging plan to see what he's going to be doing, we'll let the public know if there's going to be any impedance to access, but generally the contractor is responsible to provide access at all times for local traffic. In terms, what was some of your other questions?
The grading and the drainage on county roads and repaving and funding for that pavement.
Okay, the improvements, the replacement of the sewer on Bay Avenue, we are going to be replacing the areas of the trench repair. We're not going to be repaving. The county will come in and do a curb-to-curb overlay. The roads are concrete, so what we will be doing is removing the sanitary sewer, replacing it. We'll have select backfill. The county requires select backfill that comes in. At that point, there will be concrete repair that will be done only within the areas that we're removing the trench.
The water with the additional patch basins and providing a better road profile of the water drainage to the
Okay, there is not any additional drainage that's being put there. We're basically just, there's some interim catch basins that'll be placed, but it's, as I've said before, it's not really meant to be a drainage project. I will take a look at the plans and find out how many additional drainage inlets we're putting in there. There is some replacement of some storm sewer, but it's pretty much in kind.
That road really is a pretty gutter problem. The drainage, curb heights aren't high enough, the ground isn't high enough, there aren't enough. The spread is into the travel lanes.
Right.
So we made that road without solving that, but we,
I'll review that and report back at the next meeting.
and then the last part was about making sure that the IAC has approved the split into phase one and phase two, and that they don't have a problem if there's money to move forward with phase two.
We reviewed the revised phasing with iBank. I believe they're on board. They have to, I mean, they will when they authorize us to go out for bid. But based upon the discussions that we've had with them, they believe that the project is primarily consistent with what the original design is. They understand that there was some scaling back that we had to do in the phasing because of funding constraints, but they believe that we're meeting the main objective of the project, which is to greatly reduce I&I, and by replacing the main line sewer, which is the lowest sewer on Bay Avenue, which is also the largest sewer, it will have a significant benefit. So it's consistent with their original approval.
And gravelly, is that in or out?
Gravelly is in. The reason Gravelly is in is because they had approached the borough, indicating that they were interested in doing some improvements to drainage and possibly paving. It was a concern that they would do that work, and then because the borough's responsible for the sewer, we would have to go in there and redo that work in the event. And since that sewer is in bad shape as well, we recommended to the borough and found it prudent to do that project so that if they go forward with their project, we're not going to redo any work.
It doesn't include paving, right?
It does not. It just includes the backfill of the sewer.
And the last thing is the dredging at Jones Creek, is that the area downstream of the 5-8 or upstream of the 5-8?
Up by VFW.
VFW, because the sediment movement there was tremendous, but that was because the mud was blocked prior to the storm.
Right.
I just think it was how much sediment was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Thank you. Seeing, no, okay, so, seeing no one else? Oh, no, yes, no, maybe so?
Hi, Tyler, 18 Central Ave. It was just brought to my attention about work being done on Central Ave. Is that going to have anything to do with the sewer rates that are there now? Like, I have one in front of my house that has a pretty garden growing out of it, and they dug it out last year, and the garden came back, and then it rains, and just rolled over. Can you do something about it?
Yeah.
We'll address it.
And it's right in front of 18 Central Ave. I mean, it's pretty once in a while, but when it rains, it's just, yeah.
18? I'm sorry, it's 18?
18 Central Ave. Also, has there been any updates on the skate park?
Not yet. We, as you may know, we went out for a whole bunch of grants, and it takes usually a couple of months to come back to us. But what we're going to do in the meantime is we're going to replace our existing ramps that we have with new metal ramps that'll hold us over until we can get that project completed.
Okay. I was part of this whole project when the skate park was up.
Okay.
I think it was 25 to 29. I was also a part of the skate park in Kingsburg that was up.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing security for them when a young boy was killed by a car on a skateboard. I have a lot of connections with TC skate team. They come down to the grand openings, show them jumps. I can go through all my records, get back in touch with these guys. They came down, sneakers, t-shirts, kids had a great time. I know my kids aren't skating, but eventually I will have grandchildren. I live right here, the skate park's right here. I grew up here. You know, my kids grew up here, so.
Part of what we're doing also is we're going to be redoing, with that whole Snug Harbor project that's part of open space, is we're going to be filling in a lot of the cracks, and we're going to, repave the parking lot that's right there, and dress up the skate park until we can get that funding from those grants, which is a few $100,000. It's not, as you know, it's, oh, those are, it's all on order. We're gonna get new sport court for both the tennis court and the basketball court, and we're gonna have, some apparatus that we're gonna put right out front here.
All right, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And I will close public portion. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to add before I adjourn?
I'll go on the tennis court.
Yeah. Okay, then with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Is that Councilmember Martin? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
I was gonna go down and hit the Jackson the other day, and then I saw the crack.